Guys, welcome back to another Entertainer Spotlight on Non-Stop Kids Entertainment, and I am super happy to have Charlie with us on this Entertainer Spotlight. Hey Charlie, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very, very good. I'm really, really good. Now, I'm so glad that because you're a very busy person. And we'll talk about this in a bit, but you have so much going on all of the time. I'm super glad that you've found time to do this interview for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And basically, I just want to find out more about you. I mean, just to give people backstory, how long have you been with Non-Stop Kids now? It must be coming up on 2 years, if not more.
I think I joined the company around this time of year in 2017, I think.
Wow.
So 3 years now, which is mental.
Wow.
It feels like 5 minutes.
Exactly. And I'll tell you what, just giving everybody that's watching this a bit of context, you are an amazing entertainer. Because we track feedback from every party and nobody says anything but amazing things about you. And in the office, when we put a party on you, we feel really lucky because you're so busy and you have so much stuff going on. A lot of the time you're not available, and when you are available, it's like amazing. Yes, Charlie's on this one, and we just know it's going to be done flawlessly, and there's not going to be a problem. And the fact that as you've worked with this, your availability has got it's decreased a little bit, shows how busy you are as a person, but it also shows how valuable you are to us because we don't want to let you go. It's kind of like, well, we'd rather have Charlie do 2 gigs a month than not have a Charlie. You know, that's kind of where we are with it. So we think you're amazing and our customers love you. Everybody loves you. But I want to talk about you because you obviously, you say you've been with Non-Stop Kids for 3 years. You are, in my mind, like the quintessential performer. You've spent your whole life performing, haven't you? So
I have, yeah.
Tell us a bit about that. When did you get the bug?
Oh God. So 3 years old, my dad took me to my first ever pantomime at the Nottingham Arts Theatre, which is in my hometown. And my dad always used to tell this story. I mean, sadly, he's no longer with us, but he always used to tell the story of my first pantomime where I stood up for the entire show. I did not sit down. I was just like, oh my God. And they got me up, when they get all the kids up to come and do like the song sheet bit, they got me up and they came to my dad and they went, we know she's quite young, but do you think she'd do the song sheet? And I was like, me? What, on stage? Yep, gone. Straight on stage. Brilliant song, just there, singing. So since then, I've known that I always wanted to be on stage and then doing school plays through like primary school. And then when I started secondary school, the same theatre, the Nottingham Arts Theatre, started their youth group, their like youth company. And my parents saw an advert for it and they got me an application pack and I joined there. So from about the age of 10 or 11, I was performing there. And then, yeah, it just kind of took off. I started doing youth performances and then main season shows. And then I was doing dance and drama and singing classes aside from that. Wow. And then I auditioned for drama school when I was 17. And then, yeah, there we go. I've just carried on since then, really. But now, I mean, so you went to drama school. After drama school, you went straight into being a professional actress. Is that right? Yeah. So I had, obviously being an actor, it's not the most stable of careers. So alongside kind of doing acting gigs and things like that, I had a couple of retail jobs here and there, but it was always acting. So out of drama school, I did some theatre gigs. I did a tour around nursing homes one Christmas quite soon after I graduated, which was lovely. One of the toughest gigs I've ever done because some of the nursing homes we were going into were very like specialist dementia care homes, and they were tough gigs. But the beautiful thing about it is we were singing songs. It was like classic theatrical songs, like a bit of Fred and Ginger, things like that, and then mixed in with Christmas songs. And the effect that music has on people's memories, and it brings back, things that have been forgotten. Even if you don't have something like dementia or Alzheimer's, the effect that music has on you, I think everybody has at least one song that brings back a really visceral memory for them. And so we were getting the residents of the nursing home up dancing with us, singing along, and it was the toughest job I think I've ever done, but the most rewarding job I've ever done. And yeah, so I did that. I danced in the opening ceremony of the Olympics when we had the Olympics in London.
No way! How was that? That must have been amazing.
It was so good, and I've still got friends now, 8 years on, that I'm still in touch with from my cast, from my group that I did. Yeah, it was one of the most surreal nights of my life. It came and went in a flash. I remember we did a final tech rehearsal, then it was the show day, and we were walking into the stadium, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. And it seemed like we were in the tunnels waiting to go on to into the arena for about a year. It was so long. And then once we got out there and we did our performance, it felt like it was over in 2 seconds. And then I was on my way back to the dressing room, and I high-fived Usain Bolt on the way back, which was great.
No way!
Yeah, that was a fun experience.
That's brilliant. That is so super fun. So what else have you done? So you tour an awful lot, don't you?
Yeah, so obviously before coronavirus happened, I was on tour with a theatre company called Fred Theatre. They're based in Stratford-upon-Avon, home of Shakespeare. Yeah. And I was touring in Macbeth and in Jekyll and Hyde as well. So we were taking essentially repertory theatre, but into schools and colleges. Nice. So that was nice, because for a lot of the kids, they hadn't experienced theatre before. Some of them, like going into some of the schools that we went into, there were kids that had never seen a theatre performance before, never experienced theatre. It's just something that was alien to them. Yes. So I remember how special my first experience of theatre was. So being able to give that to kids and take theatre into their school was really special. And yeah, I was with a great team. I had a fantastic cast. There were 6 of us in the cast, and we had 3 months on the road before tour got stopped. And it was one of the most fun jobs I've ever done, because we were up and down the country. We were staying in hotels. We were having like weeks where we were away as a cast, and it was great. It was so much fun. So, yeah.
That's brilliant. And I know you've been to Italy the last couple of summers, haven't you? What were you doing over there?
So I've been very, very lucky for the past 4 years. Should have been my 5th year this year. But again, coronavirus. I've been very, very lucky that I've gone over and worked for a company called Global English Theatre, and they do summer camps, and they teach English, but they do it through drama. So something that I did when I was studying at drama school is I did a dance teacher's qualification, because I always thought that, you know, if I'm not performing, I want to teach and use what I've got to teach others. And a few years ago, one of my best friends was due to go and work for Global, and they had a last minute tutor drop out, and he said to me, Charlie, could you maybe be in Italy in like a week and a half's time? And I was like, maybe, okay, possibly. Put me in touch with the company, and they said to me, we'd love to have you. Can you be on a plane in a week and a half? And off I went, did a week, thought that was fun. Then they had me back the second year for 2 weeks. Then they had me back again for another 2 weeks. And then last year I got to go out for 3 weeks, which was great. But it's all, you know, teaching kids English, but not in a traditional way that they would in a school situation, sitting down and just writing it and reading it and listening to a teacher. It's getting them to run around and play games. And, you know, they think that they're just running around and doing a bit of a game, throwing a ball and catching a ball and saying a few English words. But then by the end of the week, you've got them up on a stage in front of all of their parents, grandparents and aunties and uncles, performing a show in English.
That's great.
So I love it. It's it is probably the best part of my year, is going to Italy and doing this job. I love performing. I love being on stage, but there's just something really, really special about my time in Italy that I love. And when I got to go and do the job for the first time, it was the first time I'd ever traveled on my own as well. Okay. So that was quite special. So there's something about that job and being able to do that, which is really, really special to me. So
that's brilliant. Circling back to theatre, you've talked about pantomimes, you've talked about musicals and performing music, and you've talked about Hamlet and Macbeth and so on and so forth. What type of genre of theatre is your favourite? If I told you you could only do one type for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I think I'd have to say musical theatre.
Okay.
I love my classics. I love that, you know, like things like Shakespeare have stayed so prevalent, like even like hundreds and hundreds of years after they were written. However, I've always been a musical kid. I've always loved musicals, lived, breathed, drove my parents mental singing along to musical soundtracks as a kid. You know, doing dance and just all of it, being able to do everything is the best thing. And some of my earliest memories of obviously pantomime, but then going to see musicals with my parents. And another story that my mum and dad would always tell would be when they bought me the 1998 cast recording of Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cats, and I have it on VHS still. They bought it me. I was 8 years old, and I used to kick them out of the living room and turn all of the furniture upside down and make the junkyard set in my living room and perform the entire musical just to myself, no one else. My parents were never allowed to see it, but in my head, I was living my Elaine Page fantasy.
That's amazing. That's so cool. And what's your favorite? Is Cats your favorite musical?
Yeah, I think it is. I think because it was one of my first experiences of a show, was Cats, and also I am a bit of a crazy cat lady as well. So
there you go. And what's your favorite musical that you actually acted in or starred in?
American Idiot.
Oh, I don't think I've heard of that.
So it's the Green Day album American Idiot, which came out in 2004, I think it was turned into a musical a few years ago. And in 2017, I saw on Facebook that a like a semi-professional company were auditioning for it, and it's been on my bucket list because I'm a massive Green Day fan and obviously a musical theatre bod. So as soon as I saw that the two things were being merged, I was like, I need to be in the show. I need to be in the show. I have to be in the show. And then I saw that they were auditioning for, you know, the show. And I was like, I have to go. Even if I don't get a main part, even if I'm just in it for one scene, I need to do it. I need to be in the show. And it was the best show I've ever been a part of. I was ensemble, but that didn't matter to me. I got to be on stage. I got to be singing music that I loved. One of my friends actually came to see it and said, you were playing the guitar at the end. I was like, yes, because the encore, the whole cast come on with guitars. And he was like, you were playing the guitar? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, I didn't know you could play the guitar. And I was like, yeah, I can play the guitar. And he was like, I didn't know you could do that. That's so cool. So
that's awesome.
Just love that show so much.
Oh, that's brilliant. Is it still touring?
I think it was supposed to have another tour this year, but
coronavirus. It's got a lot to answer for, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, you've done a lot of films as well, though, haven't you? I know you've done stuff on TV and films.
Yeah.
So how do you find that, and how different is it doing stuff on film than it is sort of live theatrical entertainment?
I think, I mean, film's great. I've always been like a film fan. I mean, you can kind of see parts of my DVD.
Yeah, I can see a DVD. Yeah, there's lots of them.
It spans an entire wall.
Wow.
That's an addiction we won't talk about right now. But I've always loved film, and at a point I thought maybe if I'm not going to be a theatre actor, or I'm not going to be an actor at all, maybe I'll be a filmmaker. And the whole experience of being on set is fab. You know, you make your little film. Like, I've been lucky to work with a lot of independent film companies, quite a lot, and the same teams as well. Kind of make your little film families, and everyone kind of gets to know each other, and that's really great. Like the camaraderie, especially in independent film, is fantastic. I think the main difference with it is you don't get that instant audience feedback that you do with theatre. And although I love film, I think I'll always prefer theatre because there's nothing like getting the energy from the audience. Like if the audience are with you and they're going on this journey with you, you can feel that energy. So although I love film, and I think I'll always flip between doing the two, I will always love theatre. But film's great. I've done a lot of horror films.
Well, you are a horror fan, aren't you?
I am. Yeah. One of my biggest loves in life is horror films, and you know, the whole genre. The last 2 times I've been to Florida have been specifically at Halloween, so I could go and do all the Universal horror mazes and things like that. And yeah, just big horror geek.
What's your favourite horror film?
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Really?
Because it is the first film that ever scared me. I'm not quite sure why, because it's quite hokey in places and very campy, and it's got a lot of like black humor in it, like dark humor.
But it also created the blueprint for the genre. You know, it was the thing that so many other films followed.
Yeah, and there was just something about Freddy Krueger that terrified me as a child. I think I watched like a Channel 4 documentary about horror films, and one of the like talking head people was like, oh yeah, well the scariest thing about Freddy Krueger is he will get you because you have to go to sleep. Your body will give in to sleep. And I was like, oh no, I don't like that. That's horrible. And because I watched that and then watched the film, I was like, no, I'm out. Don't like this. But because it scared me, it's remained one of my favorite films. And I think, you know, it's like, it's kind of like a therapy. I was like, if I become obsessed with this film and if I force myself to enjoy it, I won't be scared of it anymore.
Yeah, I totally understand. I tell you what, I saw a horror film. It's not that old, but it's a few years old now, and I've never seen it before, and I don't know why, because I'm a massive Joss Whedon fan. But I saw Cabin in the Woods for the first time last week.
My God, I thought that was
thought it was a great film. I'm like, how have I not seen this before?
It's so clever as well. Like the idea of like all the different endings, and you know they have to tick certain boxes. It's brilliant.
I thought it was really good. So here's another question for you. A lot we've been monitoring all the stats on these videos, and they're very, very, very popular, probably more so than anything else we're putting out. And one of the things we're finding is a lot of people that are watching these are people that aren't just parents and kids, but a lot of people that are watching them are people that are trying to break into the entertainment industry. So here's a question for you. What advice would you give somebody who's just starting out or wants to become a professional actor? What would you advise them?
Oh, I would say that try anything once, because I think a lot of people go into the industry thinking that they're like, I want to do this and I only want to play this kind of role. And I went into acting never thinking that I would be like a comedic role, for example. And I've had some of the most fun I've ever done in a show or in a production being a comedic role. And that's just something that, because it didn't come naturally to me, I was like, I'm just going to stay away from it so I don't make an idiot of myself. And that's fine. But yeah, I'd say try anything once, and just try and find the joy in every experience, because there are going to be times where you find stuff difficult or you find a job more challenging than others, but find the joy in every experience and just keep going, because you might get a rejection and you might just go, right, this is it, I'm done, I can't do it anymore. But the next thing you could have auditioned for could have been your yes. So, you know, there's ways and means. I mean, I've had 100 different retail jobs, 100 different survival jobs. It's a hard industry, but if it's something that you love and you're passionate about, you'll find it in yourself not to give up.
It's that old expression, isn't it? If it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It is a calling, isn't it? It's like,
yeah, I could not imagine ever doing anything else. I honestly, like performing and acting, doing kids parties, being in front of an audience. I also do murder mystery work as well. Like all of that, being creative, being expressive is just in my nature. And I think, I mean, no disrespect to anyone that loves their 9-to-5 office job, but I could not think of anything worse. Like I think I would bang my head against a brick wall on the daily if that was my job, and that's just because of the kind of person that I am.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah.
That's so true. That's so true. And if you were, here's another question. We do get a lot of parents that watch this as well who have young children who they want to encourage to become performers or learn more about performing.
Yeah.
You said you were into it from the age of 3. I'll use me as a perfect example. So I've got 2 kids, as you probably know, because I bang on about them on social media all the time. Ryland is obsessed with magic, so he's sorted. That's fine. Job done. But my daughter Thea, she is obsessed with musicals. Obsessed. She will sit there all day if we let her, just watching Greatest Showman over and over again, back to back to back. So what can I do with a 5-year-old girl, or what can any parent do to encourage them to, kind of follow that path without, because you don't, my experience with Ryland is I don't want to push Ryland too hard because I don't want him to hate magic. It's kind of like he has to do it on his own terms. But what would you suggest with performing?
I would find either a local dance school or a local, performing arts school that do classes. And a lot of places, I used to work for a performing arts academy, and on a Saturday, and we'd have like a taster session. So the child gets to come for their first session and they get it for free, and they get to try it out and see if they like it. I think that's something that quite a lot of dance and drama places do. I can't speak for them all. I've not worked for them all. But taking them along to little taster days, taster sessions, letting them have a bit of a try of everything, because I think, there's a real kind of temptation to say, oh, well, if you're going to do dance, you have to do ballet and tap, and you have to do that. Like, let them pick what they want to do. And or find a local amateur theatre. That's obviously how I got started. There's the Nottingham Arts Theatre in Notts City Centre, and that's how I kind of got started in theatre. Or taking them to the theatre as well. Taking them to the theatre if you're able to. And it doesn't have to be, the big, I mean, it's great if it is, the big fancy West End transfer tours that tour around. Even if it's just your local amateur theatre that are putting on a musical. Some of the best productions I've ever seen have been, semi-professional amateur productions in a small theatre, and you think, wow, that could rival Pro Tour or the professional show. So that's what I'd say. Just let them enjoy what they want to enjoy, and then if they want to take it further, I started off as a kid going to like a disco jazz class.
Really?
And then soon I was doing disco and jazz, and then I was doing street dance, and I was doing ballet, and I was doing tap, and then my parents couldn't keep up with the amount of dance classes that I had managed to shoehorn my way into a Saturday. I think I was doing at one time, I think I was doing like 8 or 9 dance classes in one day, and it was like back to back to back. But if it's what they enjoy, then let them run with it.
That's amazing. That's great advice. And I've got one last question for you before we move on. What's left on your bucket list? Let's just assume that in the next couple of months, lockdown eases and we go back to how things were before. What's on Charlie's bucket list? Because you've done, you already at your age, at your young age, you've done more than most people could ever dream of. You've traveled all over the world. You've appeared in film. You've appeared all over the stage. You've toured multiple times. What's next?
I would love to work with the RSC. I know it's not musical, but I would love to work with the RSC. When I was rehearsing for Macbeth, me and one of my castmates were living in a hostel during rehearsals, and we were in Stratford, and we were like, be a bit rude if we didn't go to the RSC and see a show. And I've seen 2 shows at the RSC in Stratford, and both times I've just sat there in absolute awe. I would love to work for the RSC, and I would love to get on a West End stage. I know it's so hard. It's, you know, but absolute dream, getting on a West End stage, performing with the RSC. And I would die a very, very, very happy woman.
You know what? I know you well enough to know how committed and determined you are, and genuinely, I know it'll happen, because when you set your mind to something, you do it. And no, you really do. Like I say, you're amazing. So I know that you can do that. Right, this has been amazing. But what we're going to do now is we're going to do a quick fire round. Now, just to let you know, we've done this with about 30 entertainers now. And we've got a scoreboard. We've got a scoreboard of how many questions an entertainer can answer in 3.5 minutes.
Right. Well, I'm competitive, so
let's go. I am ready. At the moment, the winner, the person at the top of the leaderboard, is David from Liverpool. Probably because he's a Scouser and he can say 10 words to everyone else's 1. But it's your chance to bring it back to Team Nottingham. So I know that you can do this. So I have my questions in front of me. I have my timer. Are you ready, Charlie?
I am. Let's go.
Okay. Then your time. I'll put my calculator up instead of the timer. That's not help very much, is it? Right. Your time starts now. If you could buy any type of food right now, what would you buy?
Lasagna.
Love it. What colour is your toothbrush?
Pink.
If you could be any animal, what would you be and why?
Cat, because they sleep all day and they judge everyone. They're grumpy.
I love it. And you're a crazy cat lady. Who is your favourite superhero and why?
Iron Man, because Tony Stark is cool.
I love that. Who do you admire the most?
My mum.
Love it. What's your favourite summer activity?
Going to Italy and doing summer camps.
Nice. If a movie was made of your life, what genre would it be and who would play you?
Oh, a horror film, probably. Or a musical film.
Horror musical.
I would love Phoebe Waller-Bridge to play me. Because I think it's hilarious.
Love it. Love it. If you could be any flavour ice cream, what ice cream flavour would you be and why?
Peanut butter ice cream, because I love Reese's peanut butter cups.
Love it. Who's your favourite cartoon character and why?
Oh, favourite cartoon character would probably be, oh my God. I'm stuck. Let's go for, oh my God, this is stressful. Why can't I think of any cartoon characters?
Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse, Bugs Bunny.
Stitch from Lilo and Stitch, because he's cute and fluffy.
Absolutely. If you could go anywhere in the world right now, where would you go?
Florida for Disneyland.
Love it. Are you a morning or a night person?
Morning person.
What's your favourite hobby?
Singing.
What's the one thing that annoys you the most?
People that talk in the cinema or the theatre.
What's the strangest thing you've ever eaten?
Oh, before I was vegetarian, calamari. Tastes like rubber. It's not good.
What is one of your weird quirks?
One of my weird quirks is I can turn my tongue upside down. And I'll prove it.
That is very impressive. Oh my God. I hope that's on your acting CV. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Loud, bubbly, and loyal.
Okay, love that as well. That's really good. If you could trade lives with anyone for one day, who would it be and why? It's a tough one, isn't it?
It is a really hard one. I'm trying to think. Controversial? No, I'm not going to go with that one. No, I'm not going to go with that one. I know they're dead, but I would say David Bowie, just because I would love to know where he got his creativity from.
I love that. I love that, and I totally agree. What's the first thing that you do what's the first thing you do when you get up in the morning?
Check my phone. I'm one of those losers. Sorry.
What's your favorite movie quote?
I'm gonna go Disney and say a dream is a wish your heart makes, just because yeah.
I love that. I love that. Where would you go if you're invisible?
I'd probably sneak into the White House and just to see if Donald Trump is actually that silly and ridiculous.
You know
or
what?
if it's all a facade. I'm quite interested to know what he's like behind closed doors.
I love that. I love that. If you could have any super hit power, what would you have?
The ability to fly.
Why not? Absolutely. Absolutely. What's your favorite Halloween costume?
One year I dressed up as Winifred Sanderson from Hocus Pocus, and it was the best costume I've ever made.
That is amazing.
I will find your picture.
Love that. What is your favorite pet's name?
My current cat, Niffler, because Harry Potter.
Oh, that's amazing. Love it. And I think we've got time for one last one, which is, what was your favorite book growing up?
Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Harry Potter's a classic. Absolutely. And Prisoner of Azkaban, I do agree that that's probably the best one out there.
Yeah. Or Alice in Wonderland, just to add that on. Alice in Wonderland as well.
Well, Alice in Wonderland is great as well.
Yeah.
Talking about horror movies and musicals, by the way, completely changing the subject. Have you seen Anna versus the Apocalypse?
I have not. I really want to.
It's
on my list.
It's a horror movie set at Christmas, and it's a musical.
I feel like this is just me in a film. I feel like
that's true. It's if you've never seen it, I watched it accidentally, and I'm like, this is the greatest. And I tell everyone who needs to watch it. It's a musical, but a really clever, smart musical set in the UK at Christmas in a high school, and it's a zombie film. It's a zombie horror film. It's all zombies.
Right, I know exactly what I'm doing. As soon as I finish this interview, I'm going to go and find it.
Anna versus the Apocalypse, best film ever. There you go. You can watch it anytime. Want to watch a horror film? Watch that. Christmas film? It's my new favorite Christmas film. It's got everything. So there you go. One last thing, Charlie, which is, I did warn you about this at the beginning. I need you to do an impression. I'm going to let you choose who. And I did say that most people in Non-Stop Kids are terrible at impressions, but I need you to do an impression.
Okay. My impression is slightly terrifying, and I am sorry, but I'm going to do an impression of Gollum from Lord of the Rings.
Hey, I want to see this. That is scarily good. Oh, honestly, my hairs are standing up on my arm. That's amazing. Oh my gosh, that's so good. I rewatched. I've been using lockdown to watch a lot of films again, so I've rewatched all of the extended editions recently of Lord of the Rings. So that hit home. That was great. That was awesome. That was really good. I'm going to wrap this up with one last thing, which I always wrap everything up with. Finish off, Charlie, by giving everybody one piece of advice from your years of experience. It doesn't have to be about acting or performing or kids' parties or anything like that. Just one piece of advice that you can share with people based on your years of experience.
Oh, take each day as it comes.
I love that.
Because you might have a bad day one day, and one day might feel like your entire world's falling apart. But the next day could undo all that and be the best day of your life. And it could be the day that changes everything. So I try not to dwell on each day. I just try to take each day as it comes. And
with what's been happening in the world the last couple of months, that's very good advice that I think a lot of people need to follow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, where can people find out about you? I want you to hit people up with social media links and website links. Obviously, you can find Charlie on Non-Stop Kids if you want to book her for a kid's party, but she does so much other stuff. Where can people find you, Charlie? Social media and websites and everything.
So I can be found on Twitter and on Instagram at Charlie C Actress. I also have a YouTube channel, which is a bit defunct at the moment because I've just struggled during the whole lockdown situation to find kind of energy to do it. But I have a YouTube channel, Charlie Clark Actress. I also have a blog called Lights Camera Hustle, which is on WordPress. So if you Google Lights Camera Hustle Wordpress, and I talk about acting, but primarily it's a theatre review blog as well. Oh, really? So I do reviews at Leicester Curve and Nottingham Playhouse as well. When theatres are actually open, I go and review shows for them, which is, you know, I'm very blessed to be able to do that, and I'm really thankful that I get the opportunity to go and see so many amazing shows. So yeah, that's pretty much me online, I think.
That's amazing. That's great. Brilliant. Charlie, I said at the beginning, I was super excited about this, and you did not disappoint. You are amazing. You are awesome. And I love the fact that no matter how busy you continue to get, you still find time to squeeze us into your hectic schedule. And I really appreciate that, because we love you at Nonstop Kids. We really do.
I love working for Nonstop Kids as well. So
you're amazing. You're amazing. Guys, like Charlie said, you can check her out all over social media and websites, and you can check her out on Nonstop Kids. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook. We put videos up every single day. So if you want to keep up to date with everything we're doing, make sure you follow us on Facebook and YouTube. And we'll be back in a couple of days' time with another Entertainer Spotlight, and there'll probably be something uploaded in a few hours. But guys, thank you very much for tuning in. And Charlie, one more time, thank you so much for being a part of this.
Well, having me.
No problem. Thanks very much, everyone. Bye.